Hello everyone and welcome to Sharpest Gaming, and today we're back with some more PGL. This is week... I do not remember. I think it's 8, but I think I'm mistaken because I think that's what week we are in the DBL, and we started a lot earlier with that. So I can't remember exactly. It might be 8 actually, or 7. It's 7 or 8. But this week we are up against J-Specs and the Hamden Hydreigons. Now the Hamden Hydreigons are going ham. But anyway, they are doing really well right now. I think they've only lost once, I'm pretty sure, against the Tasmanian Toxicroaks, who, don't mean to toot my own horn, but we beat them. So let's see if we can beat the Hamden Hydreigons today. He's got a team kind of similar to mine, where there's a lot of really bulky Pokemon that can also do a lot of damage, and then there's like 1 or 2 fast Pokemon that just deal out damage. Speaking of, Mega Pinsir, who is, I believe, 2nd in the league for kill-death ratio. Right underneath, who's at the top right now? Mega Metagross. So the 2 Megas just running house here right now. So I definitely wanted to make sure I had something for Mega Pinsir as well as Victini, because Victini, whenever I go up against Victini, I always am just sweating, like pulling the old collar, just, ugh. But, because I found, one year I used a Rhyperior, and Rhyperior walled the crap out of a Victini, and it was amazing, but I don't have Rhyperior. I don't even have a Rock type, because I have Mudsdale. I'm like, Mudsdale's fine. But, so, in preparation for Victini and Pinsir, as well as the rest of his team, we brought Focus Sash Breloom again. I just like Focus Sash Breloom, because it guarantees that you get a Spore off if they don't have Stealth Rocks up, which, by the way, he does have a few Stealth Rock users, like Pinsir can do it, Nidoqueen can do it. I don't think Pinsir will ever do it because it's his Mega, but it can. And I forget the rest of his team. I don't know if I have the paper around me anywhere. I threw everything away because we had a house showing the other day. But, yeah, so I'm Focus Sash Breloom once again, Rock Tomb, Mach Punch, Bullet Seed, Spore. We have Figgy Berry Muck again. I just like Figgy Berry Muck. Some of these sets I just like, okay? So Figgy Berry Muck with Poison Jab, Knockoff, Shadow Sneak, and it has Brick Break. I can't remember what for. I think it's for his Terrakion, because he had Terrakion as well. Then we have Choice Scarf Latias to outspeed everything on his team, because except for the Raikou. The Raikou, and I think he had Azelf too. He had a couple 115 speed mons that I couldn't outspeed, but I outsped like Victini and Mega Pinsir and everything below that. And then it has Psyshock, Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball, and Draco Meteor. With Clefable, once again, bulky Clefable. Again, I just like the set. With Stealth Rock, Thunder Wave to slow some things down, like the Victini and the Pinsir. Flamethrower, and Moonblast. And then we have Mega Skizz, with... Mega Scissor I actually wasn't going to bring this week. I was going to bring Mega Sableye, but then the more I thought about it, I'm like, Scissor just does some good work. I mean, it doesn't really do anything good against anything that he brought, but I did anyway. So it's Bullet Punch, Knockoff, U-Turn, and we actually have Protect this week, and that's in preparation for Victini. I figured if the Victini is going to be Choice, then I can Protect, make sure, and we have to figure out if it's Choice or not, first off. But we can Protect, see what's going for, then switch. And then Zapdos is the last one. I really wanted to bring Arcanine just for Flash Fire, but I figured in the end it doesn't really matter. So I brought Zapdos with Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Roost, and Power Ice. We had no Z-move this week. I was thinking about putting a Z-move on him on for the last second, but then I'm like, you don't need to put a Z-move on a Pokemon just to have a Z-move on a Pokemon. If these items work better, do that. So that's what I did. So you can see my opponent's team of Nidoqueen, Pinsir, Victini, Raikou, Tapu Fini, and Celesteela. So, starting off here, I figure let's lead Breloom, because I'm assuming he's going to think I'm going to lead Clefable to set up rocks, so he's going to lead Nidoqueen. And depending on the Nidoqueen speed stat, we can go for Spore, put it to sleep, and then there's one thing out of the way. I'd rather Spore like the Pinsir or the Victini, but I guess we'll deal with that once we get there. So let's lead off with Breloom and see how it turns out. Now, I want to preference this battle by saying that I did swallow a piece of gum right before this, so I'm like, oh, this is going to go good. I'm going to make a lot of dumb plays if I'm already swallowing gum this early in the morning. excuse me, I did just wake up too, Greg, before this battle. So Needle Queen is going to come out, and I lead Breloom, so I'm like, alright, we can Spore, we can see what this Needle Queen's speed stat is looking like. Goes for Fire Blast, probably expecting the Scissor to come in. It also hits Breloom super effectively. Thankfully, we don't get burned, and the Focus Sash is able to keep us alive there. So I can go for Spore, put this Needle Queen to sleep. It's not great, but it's something. So now I was thinking about Rock Tombing, but I figured let's just go for Bullet Seed, get a bunch of damage off on this Needle Queen, since it is neutral to it, but he is going to switch out into Guard Armor, the Celesteela. And so the Rock Tomb would have been a better play there. I mean, not necessarily. It still wouldn't have done a ton of damage to Celesteela. It would have done more than... Well, actually, it depends on how many Bullet Seeds we get. I think Bullet Seed gets to equal out if you get high enough counts. We do hit 4 Bullet Seeds here, so... I mean, Rock Tomb would have done a little bit more, and it would have just dropped the speed. Then you would have leftovers anyway, so it didn't really matter that we didn't Rock Tomb there. So I think Bullet Seed would have played out better for us either way. Because honestly, Rock Tomb wouldn't have mattered. But I'm going to switch out Breloom, save that Sasher for later. We can go into Zapdos here, because it could take basically anything the Celesteela wants to go for. It's going to go for Heavy Slam, which will hurt quite a bit because he is so heavy. But we do get the static, so we get that paralysis on Celesteela. Celesteela is pretty slow, so it doesn't really matter that we staticked him, but it does reassure me a few times later on in the match when I'm trying to figure out speed stats and stuff. So Celesteela is going to get some leftovers. I'm just going to go for Volt Switch. I don't expect the Needle Queen to come in just because it's asleep, but I figured maybe Raikou comes in, which it does. Shere Khan, the Raikou, is going to come in here, or Raikou. Raikou just makes it sound like it's a cow. So I'm going to Volt Switch out of here. I'm like, perfect. That's a great play for me. Now I look at my team and I'm like, oh, I don't have anything for Raikou. I don't have a ground type move at all on this team. So I bring out Clefable. This is not really my best play, I guess. I mean, I don't really have a best play against the Raikou, so I really need to get rid of it. But I'm going to set up the Stealth Rocks here. So I can hopefully get some damage off onto like the Pinsir and stuff. And then he brings in the Tapu Fini. And when I was looking at his team, I'm like, oh, he didn't bring Dhelmise, which is his Rapid Spinner. As soon as he brought in Fini, I'm like, oh, this thing gets defogged. Well, that's dumb. So I would set up the Stealth Rocks here, so they're going to go away right away. And I figured he's just going to go for defog to get rid of them, so I might as well switch into Zapdos here. So Mush Mush will switch out into the Zapdos. I don't have nicknames on all my Pokemon. I keep forgetting to do that. A lot of them I actually can't nickname because they're from my Alpha Sapphire game, and they can't be transferred back to nickname them, which is really dumb. But so he's going to defog. Zapdos gets to come in for free and get a little bit of leftovers too, which is really nice. Really nice. So here I think I go for I might go for Hidden Power Ice here. Expecting maybe the Needle Queen to come in this time instead of the Raikou. Actually go for Thunderbolt, actually. I guess I was hoping that he would stay in, expecting me to Volt Switch or something. I'm not sure. Because Tapu Fini would be able to live a Volt Switch, so I figured he'd stay in and Moonblast. But he's just going to play it safe, go into Raikou, and I'm like, oh well. We tried, boys, we tried. So it looks like Raikou's going to come in every time that something's weak to Zapdos, so... Unfortunately, because I didn't Volt Switch, this Raikou is able to get a Toxic off on me, and because I'm in the air, I'm not immune to status effects because of the Misty Terrain. So that's unfortunate, having one of our kind of pseudo walls get Toxic isn't great. The nice thing is, I can switch in Clefable here. Clefable can't get Toxic because, first off, it's touching the ground. I mean, it can get Toxic when the Misty Terrain's away, but we do have Magic Guard, so we won't get hurt by it. So now I'm just going to go for Moonblast. I'm not going to bother with a Stealth Rock, just because I figured the Fini might switch in again. But he's actually going to go for Calm Mind with Raikou. I'm like, oh boy, that's not good, because he can just set up right in my face. But I go for Moonblast, and I'm hoping for the special attack drop. We actually get a critical hit and a special attack drop, so I guess that swallowing gum made us lucky? I don't know. Maybe I have to swallow gum before every game. I'm just be backed up, boys. I'm going to swallowing gum every day. So, I don't know if he wants to stay in and Calm Mind again, because he did get that special defense boost, but he's going to switch out, so I don't know, maybe he didn't see the crit and he thought that I'm unaware. But he's going to bring in the Needle Queen to take that Moonblast either way. I'm like, okay, Clefable, can we get another one? Get another special attack drop? This Needle Queen hasn't slept yet, so we're still looking we're still looking nice. That Moonblast actually did a lot more than I thought it would. Huh. I didn't really notice in the middle of the game. But I'm going to switch in Latios here because I know that Nidoqueen has to take a turn of sleep. And then this following turn, I'm going to predict a switch out and go for Thunderbolt. Now, I know I go for Draco Meteor. I think. No, I go for Thunderbolt. Yeah, I go for Thunderbolt, expecting the Celesteela to come in, expecting my Psyshock. Yeah. I was thinking Draco Meteor because of Raikou, but Raikou wouldn't come in if it was expecting Psyshock. So Thunderbolt does nice damage to the Celesteela, but not quite enough where I want to stay in again, especially after the leftovers. So I'm going to switch back out to Zapdos again. Zapdos is just amazing against the Celesteela. Really, the only thing... Excuse me. Celesteela will be able to hit us with would be like Flamethrower. We've only seen Heavy Slam so far. So we do... And the Celesteela, does he paralyze there? I guess that could have been helpful. I'm not 100% sure that... I don't know. But anyway, we're looking pretty nice with our health right now, but it's not going to be great. I think this is the turn I go for... No, I go for Volt Switch. I go for Volt Switch expecting the Raikou to come in again, or Raikou to come in again. But Nidoqueen finally comes in on that Volt Switch. So now I'm going to go for Hidden Power Ice, just to see how much damage we were able to do with it. I'm expecting to do around 40%, because we're not heavily invested in special attack. We're mostly HP, a little bit of special defense. The works. So Hidden Power will hit the Nidoqueen here. It's going to do some okay damage. Oh, I just remember, we have a lot of special defense. I think I was calcing with the wrong Zapdos, because if I remember, I don't think there were enough IVs on the Zapdos I was calcing, so I don't know what was going on with that. But Hidden Power Ice brings it under 50%, so it did a little more than I thought it would. But he's going to switch in the Raikou here to take that Hidden Power Ice this time, because Raikou will take it a little bit better. But I'm just going to... Oh, excuse me, gee whiz, I am just yawning today. But I'm going to make the switch on him. I'm like, okay, Scissor can come in. He's probably going for Sludge Wave or Ice Beam if he wakes up this turn. So I can bring in Scissor and Bullet Punch and knock it out. So the Raikou switches out, which makes me think he doesn't have anything for Scissor. He probably has Thunderbolt. I don't know what his final move would be, because we've seen Calm Mind and Toxic. But he's going to bring in the Celesteela. I went for knockoff here, hoping that the Raikou didn't have Hidden Power Fire or whatever, and even if it stayed in to Thunderbolt me, we'd be able to get rid of its leftovers. So Bop on the Celesteela, that does actually pretty good damage for it being against the Celesteela, and the leftovers disappear, which is great, because that makes this thing a lot harder, or a lot easier to take down. I'm going to go for U-turn. I want to get Zapdos back in here, because again, Zapdos is just great. That was where I was trying to figure out if it was worth staying in there or not, and the paralysis helped me. I was like, well, he could be speed invested Celesteela and be cheeky and have Flamethrower to take care of Scissor, but he was Thunder Wave, so I knew that I was gonna outspeed him there, because Scissor naturally outspeeds. So he's gonna go for a Leech Seed. I'm like, oh, you're this set. You are a Leech Seed, Heavy Slam, probably Protect and Substitute set. Okay, I see you. So now Zapdos is taking a lot of damage. I'm like, all right, let's just go for. I think I could try and go for Volt Switch here. Either expecting a switch or it should knock him out as well. He's going to go for Protect though. I go for Hidden Power actually, expecting the Nidoqueen to come in. He goes for Protect because it's the annoying Celesteela set. I should have known. So he's going to get a little more Leech Seed recovery. Thankfully he's not getting leftovers on top of that. I mean, he's still getting a lot from Leech Seed because I have a lot of HP. But yeah, look at all that. He's back up to green now because of that. All of that hard work we did, knocking him off, just wasted. So I'm just going to switch out Zapdos here, not wanting to stay in if Nidoqueen comes in to stop my Volt Switch, to stub my Volt Switch. And I'm going to switch in the Skizz, because again, Scissor can knock out Nidoqueen's Bullet Punch, and if this thing wants to come in, Raikou, we're looking good still, because he switched out last time, so I'm figuring he has nothing for Scissor. So I'm just going to go for another knockoff, seeing what wants to come in and take a knockoff, and not much does. Basically the Pinsir, and even the Pinsir doesn't want to do that. The Tapu Fini does too. He's going to go for Calm Mind though, with the Raikou. Maybe expecting me to switch again. I'm not sure what he was going for Calm Mind for there, because I'm going to go for the knockoff. He'll do some nice damage here with the big bop. He's going to get rid of that leftovers too. So now Shere Khan is in a range where if I U-turn him, he's knocked out. because U-turn does like 50%, so I need a little bit of chip to knock out there. So I'm going to go for the U-turn. He's going to bring in the Celesteela once again, trying to take my steel and bug-type moves. But U-turns looking pretty nice. This does actually more damage than I think it would, being 4 times resisted by Celesteela, so I'm thinking this thing's a little more specially defensive than it is physically. And then Zapdos will come in once again. If he wants to Leech Seed me, he's going to be taking a Thunderbolt. So either he's got to switch out of here or take the hit. And it's not going to take a hit. That's the nice thing about it. I might go for Volt Switch too. This battle just happened. I still can't remember what happened. So Raikou is going to switch in here, trying to eat up a Thunderbolt, or actually any hit that Zapdos tries to get off on him. I go for the Thunderbolt here. Bop, bop, bop. And it brings him to a range where another one won't knock him out, and even with Hidden Power Ice, Thunderbolt's doing more. So I'm like, alright, I'm just going to Volt Switch on him. Zapdos is almost dead, so we might be sacking Zapdos here as well. He's going to go for Thunderbolt. It doesn't knock me out, thankfully, so Zapdos lives to tell another tale. Hopefully we are able to get a Roost off at some point here, so he could be looking nice for like Tapu Fini and stuff. But I Volt Switch into the Clefable. I'm thinking, well, I can just Moonblast here, expecting to knock out either the Raikou or to get rid of the Tapu Fini as it switches in for Stealth Rocks. He's going to go for Toxic, probably thinking I'm unaware, but I am Magic Guard, so we're good to go there. I do set up Stealth Rocks. I'm a liar. So I set up the Stealth Rocks here, and now I go for Moonblast, because either it'll get rid of this Raikou, or we will be able to hit the Tapu Fini for a little bit of damage. He's going to go for the Thunderbolt, and just get some last-second damage off. Does some nice damage to my Clefable, but Moonblast will be able to take out the Raikou. So, how many turns in this battle? 26, and we finally have a KO, and Clefable gets it. So, yeah, the start up to this match was really long, and then as the battle goes on and everything's getting whittled down, and the heavy hitters start coming out, that's when the real action starts happening. So Tapu Fini's going to come out here. He goes for Misty Surge. I'm expecting him to attack this turn because he doesn't want me to get a free switch into Zapdos. So he does go for Moonblast. I'm like, yes, called you on it, boy. Clefable can take that hit, and we can go for our own Moonblast. So I just wanted to get a little bit of Chippy Chew off on the old Tapu Fini. Get a special attack drop, so I'm like, alright, he's going to defog this turn because he's not going to be doing enough damage for him to be worth it, especially because I stayed in with Clefable this time. So I could have went for another Moonblast, but I'm actually going to switch in Breloom. I'm going to switch in the Breloom because it gets a free switch in. We should outspeed the Tapu Fini unless it is speed invested, which it could be to outspeed Breloom, because it doesn't need much. But he does go for the defog, so now I could go for Bullet Seed, and I don't remember if I do or not. I might go for Rock Tomb here, expecting him to switch out. I went for one of those two plays. Bullet Seed, or Rock Tomb. He does switch out into Celesteela. Called it. Guard Armor with the Celesteela. Who's, I do go for Rock Tomb, that's right, that makes sense. I go for Rock Tomb, does decent damage to Celesteela, which makes me believe all the more that it's specially defensive, and then I'm going to go for Bullet Punch, because it's neutral, like Rock Tomb, but it's also Stab, and it can't miss. So Celesteela is going to go down here. Another big wall out of the way, Breloom picking that one up for us. But now the Pinsir can come in, and I was at a dilemma here, because I'm like, oh, he's going to get the Moxie boost. But then I remembered, you have to Mega Evolve first turn in this league. So I'm going to bring in Zapdos, hoping that he gets Static inflicted from my Zapdos ability, Static. Because that would be really helpful against the Pinsir. But, you know. So he goes for a return, because he's going to outspeed the Breloom. And unfortunately, no Static for us. Now, here's where I make a stupid play 2K16 here. So none of my Pokemon can one-hit KO this Pinsir, plus survive a hit. So I'm going to bring in Breloom. I'm like, alright, I'll chip him with Mach Punch. Now, earlier, I'm like, oh, this thing has Quick Attack. Don't let Breloom stay in. And then I'm a dumb idiot and bring Breloom in to let it die to a Quick Attack. So now we just wasted our Breloom. We could have used that, especially against the Fini. But now I'm going to bring in Latias. At this point, I was really just sacking Latias to get damage off on the Pinsir, because I knew we were going to end up going down, especially if I had, like, X-Scissor. So I'm just going for Draco Meteor, try and get a bunch of damage off on him. But the Victini comes in. I'm like, alright, that's okay with me. I'll do some damage to this Victini instead. So Draco Meteor, gonna hit the Victini. Only does about 50%, so we won't be able to take it out another one because our special attack does harshly fall. So I'm going to switch out here, Indigo Fable. We don't necessarily need it anymore, so I'd rather just bring it in, sack it off. But he actually goes for Trick Room. I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. Typically it's just like Choice Bandit, Choice Scarf, but he goes Trick Room. I'll probably get around like Greninja and stuff, but Greninja has priority, so I don't know. Because my team's really slow, too, whereas the rest of his team's really fast. Now, I'm a big dumb idiot, and I went for Thunder Wave. I'm like, oh, he's going to kill me. Slow him down. But we're in Trick Room, so now he is faster. Whereas if I would have just went for Stealth Rock, it would have caused the Feeny to come in, and because it has to defog for the Pinsir to come back in. The Pinsir would take 50%, and it would still be alive, because I don't think I've even hit it yet. So the Pinsir's still at large. But now the Victini is going to be able to underspeed my Muck, which is another big stupid thing, because my Muck could have been full health and kept its berry, but now it has to take a V-Create before it can knock it out. So, if I would have just went Stealth Rocks, it would have been so much better, but, I swallowed gum this morning. So speed, defense, and special defense are going to fall. He's already gotten a defense drop, and, Knockoff's just going to body this thing anyway, so there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So we go for the knockoff, bada bing, and that will take care of the Victini there. Cheap. So Victini was actually a lot less of a threat than I originally thought it was going to be, and that's probably because I over-prepared for it. But then Kabuterimon comes in. Now, at this point, I go for Poison Jab just to get some chip damage off. Later in the battle, he actually reveals to me that he forgot the Trick Room was up. So I do get the Poison Jab and the Poison. He goes for Earthquake here. That's not going to be able to knock me out. But then not this following turn, but at this point he's thoroughly confused because Muck is outspeeding. He had asked me during the battle, did you have Salic Berry? What's going on here? But no, he just set up Trick Room, which is why I was confused why he set up Trick Room, because Victini's fairly fast, Pinsir's super fast, and then Nidoqueen, I'm expecting, has a little bit of speed in it because it outsped Breloom, so the Pinsir's going to be able to take out the Muck, but not before taking a lot of damage from Muck as well. So now Pinsir is not looking too hot. The Twisted Dimensions do return to normal, which means that I can bring in Latias here and go for a Psyshock. Now, when I originally did this, I'm like, oh, that was a big dumb play, because now he can Quick Attack me. But he didn't Quick Attack, and it was also revealed later to me that Timer went out because he was still trying to figure out the speed nonsense with Trick Room. So he wasn't able to see that or he didn't know that the Trick Room was happening, so he was going to Quick Attack, and he wasn't able to. So we'll see if that not clicking Quick Attack matters at the end of the battle here. But Tapu Fini's going to come in. I'm going to switch in Scissor because I cannot knock out this Tapu Fini with the Latias, and I need to keep Latias around, whereas Scissor's not going to be able to do much. It will be able to take on Nidoqueen, but it won't be able to take on this Fini by itself. It could have. But anyway, we're going to go for Knockoff to get rid of the leftovers so the Fini isn't getting recovery. That's going to be a big thing here. He does have Surf, which is going to be doing a little more than Scald and even Muddy Water. But Muddy Water does have that accuracy drops. But he brought Surf, so it's going to do some good damage. But I do know that I live at least one more, so I get rid of the leftovers. And now I'm going to chip him down with Bullet Punch. Which is really nice because we'll be able to get off quite a few Bullet Punches before we faint. And it's doing okay damage because Tapu Fini is neutral to Bullet Punch. So we bring it down to under 50. He's going to go for another Surf. That's fine. We lived that. I'm able to get off at least one more Bullet Punch here, which is crucial because Latias needs to lock itself into Psyshock to make this a game here. So he's going to go for Surf. At this point, Scissor will go down, but it has done its job. We are good to go there. Scissor, I'm proud of you, boy. So Scissor will faint, and then in will come Scarlet, the Latias. And now I can lock myself into Psyshock, knock out the Tapu Fini, and at this point in the game, I actually didn't know how much HP Nidoqueen had left. I thought it had, almost full. I'm like, oh boy, this might be bad. We should be able to live an Ice Beam from the Nidoqueen if it wakes up, but it won't be great here. So Big Patty will come in, the Needle Queen, and it's under 50. I'm like, oh, phew. I forgot I chunked this thing pretty good. So Psyshock will definitely take it out. So Latias, this is the first time Latias has done this much work. Usually it just comes in and doesn't do anything and dies. But we get a critical hit, useless critical hit on the Psyshock for the final turn. And that will be the game. So GG, J-Specs. I had a lot of hacks in my favor in this match. But he still played really well, even against those odds. I swallowed a piece of gum before the match. All the good stuff. And I made quite a few dumb plays, but he was also confused with his own trick room and that kind of stuff. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Next week, we are up against the Oregon Ducklets, which will be another really hard game for us to win, but hopefully we're able to pull it off. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Again, we're the Minnesota Wild Charge. I didn't say that again at the beginning of the match. I need to start doing that. But we'll see you guys next time. Stay sharp, everyone, and go Wild Charge.